Debate on the Value-Added Tax VAT Bill 2010 continued in the St. Kitts and Nevis National Assembly today, Tuesday. The 150-page document was given its second reading last Friday by Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Denzel Douglas, who maintains that the new tax regime will be implemented at the beginning of November 2010. Parliamentarians also received a 35-page document containing proposed amendments to the bill, which the government says is a major development, which will significantly streamline the Federation's tax system, consolidating over 12 existing taxes. Prime Minister Douglas has announced that VAT would be 17% and that government will provide technical support free of cost to any business that has challenges to accommodate VAT. The Prime Minister also stressed the importance of businesses to operate with transparency and integrity after the VAT is implemented. He said under the VAT system, businesses and government must pay their fair share for the system to work. In an interview over the weekend with former Barbadian Prime Minister, Owen Arthur said he was surprised that it has taken St. Kitts and Nevis so long to implement VAT, as the Federation is subjected to the same forces as Barbados that warranted the introduction of VAT.
May I also make the point that I supported the introduction of a value-added tax in Barbados before I became Prime Minister, when I was opposition spokesman on finance, and therefore understood the need to implement it as Prime Minister. But a number of factors explain it. First of all, we are living in an age of trade liberalization. What it means specifically, if you take that concept and break it down, is that to be part of a Caribbean single market and single economy, we have had to remove taxes, import duties on goods coming from the rest of the Caribbean. And that's what it means. And also, all Caribbean countries that are part of the CSME have had also to reduce their top rate of import duties from 45% to 20% to implement what is called a common external tariff. We had to do that in 1998. That's why, in order to compensate for the loss of that revenue, we introduced that in 1997. But subsequent to that, the region has become more and more deeply involved in relationships that require the removal of import duties.
Mr. Arthur explained that the VAT can make the economy more competitive while broadening the tax base.
A value-added tax is one of the options and the best option, because you can target the implementation of a value-added tax to free exports, to make your economy more competitive. You can also target it to allow the sectors that you feel are areas of activity that are worthy of exemption from taxes to be exempted from taxes. But more to the point, it brings an assuredness to the collection of government revenues to enable you to have a sound fiscal position. The value-added tax allows you to broaden the base of taxes to include things that historically have not been subject to tax. And therefore, with a broader base of tax, you can lower the rate. In Barbados' case, our value-added tax at 15%. Replace 11 little bits and pieces of taxes. We were collecting tax by way of a consumption tax, small base, but high rate, so the prices of those things were very high, over 20%. We had a separate hotel and restaurant sales tax. You have one way, therefore, of collecting the tax, and it brought greater assuredness to government financial circumstance. It allows you, therefore, to do a number of strategic things. Having said that, of course, you have to manage the implementation of the tax.
Speaking of the Barbados experience, the former Prime Minister and Minister of Finance spoke to the management of the implementation of VAT so that it does not hurt the poor.
In Barbados, what I did is, we have income tax in Barbados, but we have an income tax threshold. There's a level below which you don't pay income tax. We introduced a reverse tax credit. If you're not paying income tax, but you're paying VAT, and you're below the level at which you don't pay income tax, we give you a tax refund nonetheless.
So in other words, you have VAT and also income tax?
Yes, we do. I'm going to come to that. But to make sure that the VAT did not hurt the poor, we gave back the poor people below a certain income level a tax refund, even though they were not paying income tax. We also used the excess revenue to start benefiting poor people. And you have to get to the stage where it's target the poor. We, for example, created a poverty eradication fund that we maintain, and we put part of the VAT proceeds in it to make sure that the poor people benefited from the fact that the country had a VAT. And we use the opportunity of a better revenue position from the VAT to create the Urban and Rural Development Commissions in Barbados, to be able to do things in urban and rural Barbados to address poverty at the community level.
That's former Prime Minister of Barbados, Mr. Owen Arthur, during an interview with Press Secretary Erasmus Williams of Communications Unit of the Prime Minister. That's how we conclude this evening's presentation of the Nevis Newscast. I'm Bronte Swanston Hendrickson.